Hey everyone, throwaway account because my main has friends and family on it. And honestly, I'm still trying to wrap my head around everything. My wife L30 to F and I30 for meters have been together for 8 years, married for 5. For most of that time, I really thought we were solid. Not perfect, but stable in that comfortable, we finish each other's sentences way. But about 6 months ago, these tiny cracks started showing up, little things I kept brushing off because I didn't want to believe anything was wrong. She started going out with co-workers more often, coming home irritated at the smallest things, and acting like I was annoying her just by existing. I'd ask a simple question like, "What do you want for dinner?" And she'd snap back with, "Why do you always have to make everything my responsibility?" Stuff that felt wildly out of proportion. I kept telling myself it was stress. Work had been intense for her. She wasn't sleeping well. We all go through rough patches. But looking back, yeah, the signs were there. I just didn't want to see. It really started escalating when she suddenly got super protective of her phone. Elle used to leave her phone lying around anywhere: kitchen counter, bathroom sink, under a couch cushion. Half the time it wasn't even charged. But then, out of nowhere, it was glued to her hand like it was an extension of her body. She started sleeping with it under her pillow. Literally under her pillow. When I asked why, she laughed this weird, forced laugh and said something like, "Oh, I just like having it close in case my alarm glitches." Her alarm had never glitched in the entire time I'd known her. Around the same time, she started dressing up more for work. At first it didn't seem suspicious because she's always been stylish. But it shifted from I want to look nice to him getting ready for a magazine cover shoot. New clothes, new perfume, spending extra time curling her hair even though she used to joke she hated the hassle. I'd compliment her because honestly she looked great, and her response would be something like, "Why are you making a big deal out of this? Can I just look nice without you being weird like that?" Just sharp, defensive in a way that didn't match the situation. And then came the moment everything tilted. Was honestly stupid, one of those random accidents that you almost laugh at before it hits you in the gut. Elle was in the shower and her phone buzzed on the bathroom counter. Normally I wouldn't even look at her phone, her business, but the screen lit up facing me, and the preview popped up with a name I didn't recognize. Evan Work, followed by a message that said, "Last night was worth every second. Same time tomorrow." My whole body went cold. I didn't touch the phone. I didn't scroll. I didn't snoop. I just stared at those words until the screen went dark again, like my brain was lagging behind what my eyes had just seen. I tried to convince myself it was a joke, some inside office humor I didn't get. Maybe he was talking about a project. Maybe last night meant they pulled an all-nighter at work. But then another message came through. "Can't stop thinking about you." Right then, Elle turned off the shower. I panicked and stepped back like the phone had burned me. I felt this mix of nausea. For the next couple of days, I walked around feeling like I had a brick in my stomach. I didn't confront her immediately because I don't know, I think part of me hoped I was wrong, that there was some explanation I hadn't thought of. But every tiny thing she did now felt suspicious. She suddenly had early meetings. She suddenly needed to run errands alone. She started snapping at me over nothing, like legit nothing. I asked if she wanted me to pick up groceries, and she rolled her eyes and said, "Why do you always ask me the most basic questions? Think for yourself for once." This from the woman who used to get excited when I remembered to buy her favorite cereal without being asked. And the lying got messy. One night she said she was at dinner with co-workers. Fine. I wasn't going to interrogate her. But around 11 p.m., her friend Mara texted me asking if Elle got home safe because Mara had bailed on dinner last minute. Except Elle had told me Mara was the actual moment things went from something feels off to holy hell. This is real happened on a Thursday. I remember because Thursdays were usually our quiet nights. We'd order takeout, watch some show we were both mildly interested in, and just decompress. But that day she came home late again, claiming she had to wrap up end of quarter reports. She walked in looking frazzled. almost guilty. Her hair was messed up in a way that didn't look like work stress. Her lipstick was smudged, even though she's the type who never lets that happen. I didn't say anything. I just watched her walk into the kitchen, grab a bottle of wine, and pour herself a massive glass like half the cup. Long day? I asked, keeping my tone neutral. Jesus, can you not quiz me the second I walk in the door? She snapped, not even turning around. I wasn't quizzing her. It wasn't even a question, really. Just a normal human interaction. But she grabbed onto it like it was ammunition. She stormed past. I didn't yell. I didn't grab the phone. I didn't do anything dramatic. Honestly, I think that scared her more than if I'd blown up. I just said, "L, who is he?" Her eyes darted everywhere except at me, floor, fridge, ceiling, her wine glass. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again like she was buffering. Then she finally said, "Why are you doing this right now? I'm exhausted." That was her opening line. Not denial, not confusion, not even fake outrage. Just annoyance. Like I was inconveniencing her by asking why another man was texting her "miss you" already. I kept my voice steady. "Are you cheating on me?" She scoffed. Actually scoffed. That's such a dramatic word. Is it true? She took a huge sip of wine like she needed liquid courage and said, "Look, people flirt. It's harmless. You're blowing things out of proportion because you're insecure." There it was. The gaslighting. Insecure. When she said I didn't want the truth, something in me snapped, not in a dramatic way, but in that calm, icy way where you know you're officially done with being lied to. "I want the truth," I repeated. "All of it." She finally sat down at the kitchen table, arms crossed, tapping her nails on the wood like she was the one being interrogated unfairly. Her whole vibe screamed annoying, not remorseful. No sadness. No regret. Just irritation that her double life wasn't staying as neatly compartmentalized as she wanted. "Okay," she said, exhaling dramatically. "Fine. Evan and I talk." "Talk," I repeated. "That's what you call it." "We connect," she said, like she was reading off a script from a bad romance drama. "He understands me. He listens. He appreciates me. And I don't." She gave a little shrug that made my blood pressure spike. Not in the same way. I felt like I was floating above. There's a moment if you've ever been betrayed like this one, something inside you just goes quiet. Not numb exactly, but still. Like your brain hits a switch and says, "Okay, this is real. Stop trying to make it something else." That's where I was. I looked at her, this woman I'd built a life with, planned a future with, and I realized I didn't recognize her. The way she held herself, the dismissive tone, the defensiveness, it was like talking to a stranger wearing my wife's face. I sat down because my legs suddenly felt unsteady. "How long has it been going on?" I asked. She sighed like I'd asked her to solve calculus. "Does that even matter?" "Yes," I said. "It does." She rolled her eyes and muttered, "You're so dramatic," under her breath. Then, louder, "A few months. Are you happy now?" "A few months." My chest tightened. That meant birthdays, holidays, anniversaries, moments I thought were about us had been. I ended up driving with no real destination in mind, just letting the road unfold in front of me, while my mind replayed every word, every lie, every little red flag I'd ignored for months. I didn't cry at first. It was like I was too stunned to process anything fully. Eventually, I pulled into a cheap motel, the kind with flickering neon lights and peeling paint. Exactly the level of depressing I needed to match the inside of my chest. I checked in, dropped my bag on the bed, and just sat there in the dim yellow light. It hit me all at once, this wave of heartbreak so strong I doubled over like I'd been punched. I sobbed, like full-on, ugly, body-shaking sobs, not because of the cheating alone, but because of the surreal realization that the person I trusted most had been lying to my face. With such casual ease, when I finally left the motel the next morning, I felt hollowed out. Not better, not healed, just emptied. Like the emotional storm had passed but left everything in ruins. I drove home slowly, half hoping she wouldn't be there, half dreading that she would. Her car was in the driveway. Of course it was. I took a deep breath and walked inside. The house was weirdly quiet, almost stage. She was sitting at the dining table with a mug of coffee like she had been rehearsing her expression. In the mirror, she looked up and said, "Well, are you done with your little disappearing act? Not are you okay? Not I'm sorry. Not even let's talk. Just hostility." I set my keys on the counter. "I needed space," I said. "I told you that." She scoffed. "You didn't need space. You wanted to make a point." After that conversation, I retreated to the bedroom and just sat on the edge of the bed, trying to process everything. The anger, the betrayal, the disbelief, it all collided into this heavy, overwhelming mix. I felt like I was carrying a boulder in my chest. Part of me wanted to scream. Part of me wanted to collapse and cry like I hadn't in years. Part of me just wanted to vanish entirely. I hadn't realized how much I depended on the version of her I thought I knew, until I saw it crumble in front of me. I kept thinking about the little things I'd ignored. Her long work nights, the secretive texts, the weird defensiveness over nothing. Things that seemed minor, now glaring like neon signs I'd stubbornly refused to see. And I kept replaying her words. "If you were meeting my needs, maybe I wouldn't have." After a few days of soul-crushing silence, I realized I couldn't just stew in my own head anymore. I needed clarity. I needed to figure out what I wanted and what I wouldn't tolerate. I called my best friend, Jay, and spilled everything. Not the filtered, "I think something's off" version. Not the "maybe I'm overreacting" version. The full, raw, gut-wrenching truth. Jay listened, silent at first, then just said, "Dude, she sounds like a nightmare." And honestly, that hit. Part of me wanted someone to tell me I was overreacting, but another part, maybe the part that had been quietly dying inside me over the last 6 months, felt relieved. Relieved that someone else could see it too. We made a plan. I wouldn't confront her further until I had a game plan, until I knew what I wanted. Because I realized if I let her manipulate me, if I let her gaslight. The next week was surreal. Every interaction with Elle felt like walking through a minefield. She'd act like everything was normal one minute, then snap into defensiveness the next. She tried the pity angle, sometimes sitting on the couch with sad eyes, whispering, "I just don't want to lose you." I hated it. I hated it because I did feel torn. Part of me wanted to reach out, to hold her hand, to beg her to choose me. But the clearer part of me, the part that had been screaming at me since that first Evan message, knew I couldn't trust her anymore. Not fully. Not for the foreseeable future. Every lie, every half-truth, every sneaky little excuse had eroded something fundamental. I realized that love wasn't enough when it was constantly undermined by betrayal. I had to stop blaming myself for her choices and start protecting my own heart. After a lot of thinking, sleepless nights, and long drives to nowhere, I made my decision. I couldn't stay in a marriage built on lies even if part of me still loved her. Loving someone didn't erase betrayal, and it didn't make me responsible for her choices. I told Elle calmly one evening, "I've made up my mind. I can't continue this marriage if trust is broken this badly. You need to figure out your life, and I need to figure out mine. I'm moving out." She reacted like I'd just stabbed her with words. "You're overreacting. You're so dramatic. Can't we just talk?" I shook my head. "No. We've talked. I need action, not excuses. I can't fix this for you. It's been a few months since I left. The anger has softened into a dull ache, the heartbreak into something more manageable. I still think about her sometimes, still wonder if I could have done anything differently, but I've realized that it doesn't matter. The choices she made were hers, not mine. I've started to rebuild my life in small ways, reconnecting with friends I'd drifted from, picking up hobbies I abandoned, even laughing again without guilt. It's not perfect, and I know healing isn't linear, but it feels real, mine. If there's one thing I've learned from this nightmare, it's that betrayal isn't just about cheating. It's about trust being shattered, boundaries being ignored, and respect being absent. And no amount of love or denial can fix that if the other person refuses to take responsibility. So, my advice to anyone in a similar situation: trust your instincts, If something feels off, don't ignore it. Your intuition is often sharper than your desire to believe the best. Don't excuse repeated lies. One mistake is one thing. A pattern of deception is another. Protect yourself emotionally. Space isn't cowardice, it's survival. Take your time. Don't rush decisions based on guilt or anger. Healing is a process. On your future, you can't control others, but you can control how you move forward. Leaving was the hardest choice I've ever made, but it was also the bravest. And now I finally feel like I have a chance to rebuild a life that's honest, grounded, and mine again. If anyone's out there in this mess, know that pain doesn't last forever, but clarity and self-respect do. That's all. Click on the like button, subscribe to this channel, and give everyone a recommendation.